We can talk for hours about composers, about music. You never will know exactly what these people thought. It's very difficult to find the real truth. And music is something, of all the arts, in my opinion, the most difficult. Because it expresses something that you can't express in words.
At the Russian Revolution in 1917, the composer Shostakovich was 11 years old. Russia, his country, the largest in the world, was in a time warp. The majority of the population were illiterate peasants, working and often starving on the land. Modern industry existed only in a few cities, like Moscow and St. Petersburg. Just a few years later, when Joseph Stalin became leader of what was now the Soviet Union, he set himself the almost inconceivable task of dragging this vast continent into the 20th century.
Russia has suffered continual beatings and humiliation from the rest of the world because of her backwardness. We are 100 years behind the advanced countries. We must catch them up in 10. We must do this or be crushed.
The whole of society was directed to this monumental effort. If individual lives were lost or ruined, that was inevitable.
You cannot make an omelette without breaking eggs.
Every Soviet citizen was drawn into the Herculean struggle to force an entire nation into the modern age. And the artists, novelists, poets, filmmakers, playwrights, painters, and composers, they too were to bend their shoulders to an enterprise so vast it was intended to change the course of human history. Like every young person of his time, Shostakovich was caught up in the tumult. He was a child of the modern age, fascinated by the new world around him. In his second symphony,
a factory whistle in F sharp.
In his third,
the triumphant working classes on the march.
His ballet, The Bolt, depicts
industrial hammers and machinery, cogwheels, workers doing keep fit exercises.
And his most popular movie score
was The Counterplan, an epic tale of industrial miracles in a turbine factory. Stalin loved it.
One hyperventilating journalist of that time summed up:
What is closer to the proletariat? The pessimism of Tchaikovsky and the false heroics of Beethoven, a century out of date, or the precise rhythms and excitement of our modern music? With Beethoven, the workers were utterly bored and just waited for it to end. But contemporary Soviet compositions aroused contagious emotions in the audience. The proletarian masses, for whom machine oil is mother's milk, have a right to demand music consonant with our own era, not the music of the bourgeois salon, which belongs to the time of Stevenson's first locomotive. In those far-off days, life seethed around us, sucking us into its vortex. All of us who experienced those years with Shostakovich will remember the intensity of this whirlpool, which threw up an explosion of creative energy. This young composer was determined to break with the stale and ossified tradition imposed upon him by his teachers. What he wanted was a complete dynamic expression of modern-day reality, a music resonant with the dramatic turbulence of our history and with a sense of the catastrophe to come.
As Soviet manpower raised month by month new cities and industrial complexes where previously there had been only villages and open steppe, so Shostakovich was determined to create a new music on the grandest scale, reflecting the grandest aspirations. He resented being distracted from this project by having to earn his living composing trivial theatre scores, popular songs, and movie music. He published a manifesto.
Let me sum up. Let music take the lead. Down with composers writing only to serve other artists. Down with musical theatre. I declare that I renounce all further work in these unworthy areas. Enough regurgitating the same old cliches for other people. I am clearing the way for a mighty symphony.
With modern industrialization came modern entertainment. The radio, the gramophone, clubs and music halls, films and dances from faraway America, Chaplin, Ellington, Disney. As a teenager, Shostakovich played piano in silent movie theaters up and down Leningrad's main street, Nevsky Avenue. He discovered jazz. Later, many would remember this time